Thank you, Christy. So we put this together as a refresher. So this is in no means going to replace all of the other trainings. I know that most everybody's attended, but to help people who may not have been utilizing the resources on the ConnectEd platform, to remind them of what's there and to show you a little bit about what we have been starting with Schoology as well. So we'll get started. Probably take anywhere, depending on how long, questions that we have as we get going, as we go through the program, around 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll hang out and answer any questions that people have as we move forward. So here's our agenda for the process. We want to talk about just that basic accessing really quickly so that everybody knows how to get there, and then how to kind of navigate to look for resources, both resources to use on the platform as well as resources to pull and use in Schoology, because people are using their content in different ways. So we want to make sure that you know how to do that. And then how to assign content on the platform as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about the what we've been working on the History Social Science Schoology site, and what kinds of things that you can find there. And then we'll give you the link for attendance in there as well. So we'll get started, and hopefully the connection problems figured out. So to access your curriculum on the ConnectEd platform, you're going to go to the staff applications page and look for that ConnectEd link, and that's what it's called, ConnectEd. That's our platform. So you can go through that either on the district staff applications page, or you can find it also on your site staff applications pages. Once you've logged in, remember, we're a single sign-on district, so there's no other location. It's not like you can go to the web and just use a web browser to get to the ConnectEd platform. You're going to need to launch through the district website because we are single sign-on. Once you've done that, it'll pull up a page that looks similar to this page. I've got some test classes on here, but yours would have all of your classes in Impact pre-populated. The student population is input from the Power School rostering process. And so you're just going to need to see that whichever class that you're going to open into, you're just going to launch from that page. Once you've done that, you're going to get to a dashboard page. So the dashboard will provide you with all of the different pieces that you'll need to access the textbook, your grade book, assignments, roster, and everything there in that side portion. But then there's really two ways that you can find content that you're going to want to use either on the platform or pull to use in Schoology. The first way is to use the browse your course, the where do you want to go and browse your course feature. And you can then pull up any of the chapter or lesson pieces there to pull into your Schoology class if it's a PDF or Word document, or if you want to assign something on the platform, you can do that there. The second way, though, is there's just the search for resources. See where that number 2 is? That will pull up a search function so you can search all of the curriculum on the Impact site, and you don't have to know what chapter or what lesson it is. It would all be there. So for instance, if I wanted to look at primary sources and find out what's available for me in the ConnectEd platform, I could type that into the search bar there, and then it establishes that as a search function. So for instance here, like if I want to see this Zimmerman telegram piece, then I can just select it from this list here. And you can do that with anything. So if I want to then assign it a piece of an item that I found on in my program, all I need to do is to select it with those three little, like they call it the kebab button there, and it's going to pull up preview, assign, or add to calendar. So I can preview it. I can take a look at it and see if that's truly what I want. Is this the piece that I'm looking for? I can add it to the calendar. This is something I'd like to use, but not right now, maybe later on. So basically populate that myself for later on, or I can assign it. And then that goes right to all the students in the class, or however I assign it. So once I hit the assign button, it goes to this assigning pane where I can identify the start and end date, when it's due. I can add any other instructions. I can change the assignment name if I want to. I can select students or choose all students to get the assignment, add in there what the points are possible. And if I have other classes, you see that very bottom button, I don't have classes that are compatible. In other words, I only have one world history course in my on my dashboard. But if I've got like 3 world history classes and I want this assignment to go out to all of them, I can identify that there. I can add it to the other classes, and then I just click assign. Now that first page, I told you could check with that browse my course function. If you want to look for activities, lesson items, worksheets, all I have to do is to choose, for like, I'm going to stick with that Zimmerman note. We've already looked at it. It's in the World War I, and it's in lesson 2. And I go back to that browse my course. I can find it there. By selecting lesson 2, it's going to bring up the folder basically for everything, that's all the resources that are available for this lesson. And then this piece is in the presentation resources. And if I scroll down, I'm going to find the Zimmerman note sitting there. And from here, as opposed to having the preview, assign, and calendar, I have the assign and calendar features when I hit that button, and I can just assign from here. So once I've assigned this, my dashboard is now going to look like this. So when a student logs in, or when you log in, you're going to see that assignment is sitting there and ready. That's the next thing to do. So one of the questions that Valerie's asking about the demo account, does the same demo account still work for those of us who are coaches? Yes. And if you've got people who need to have access, like that demo account is set up for our our people who support the social science curriculum. So special ed, who might want to have access to find resources and work with as they work with the teacher to help their students with what they need to be successful in the class. If you don't have that information, please just send me an email and I'll make sure that you get that account so that you can access everything. The demo account has everything that our pre-populated accounts have, except for rostered students in them. But all the resources you can get from there to push out if you need. So are there any other questions at this point? Anything you'd like me to go over? I know it's fast.
So far, I haven't seen any other questions come up in the chat bar, mostly just tech issues, but please, yeah, absolutely write any questions that you have and we'll try to answer them as we go throughout. And again, we'll have extra time at the end too, and we'll stick around and answer any questions that come up.
So one of the questions it's being asked is, can I put this assignment in Schoology? It depends on the assignments. If you're looking for something to put in Schoology, you're probably looking for a resource that is a PDF or a Word document. So especially when you're using this, the search function in resources, you see, as you know, I'm in that column underneath refine results. I can search for things by looking up just PDFs or Word documents that I can then download and push it out through Schoology. If that's what your students are used to working with, that's a way that you can access it. The other nice feature of this, of doing the resources search, is that I can look things up by, course location. So what chapter or lesson is this in? I can browse by standards, and not just the content standards for history, social science, but those history, social science analysis skills are also there available for you to search through, and the literacy skills for Common Core that are specific to history, social science, and all and other areas, but specific to the reading and writing that takes place in history, social science. I can even look for those things there. So I can search by a lot of different features here. And every time you add a search, it's just going to add another little filter up there at the top where we have primary sources here. Do we still need to have the students access the book outside of Schoology? They can access the book through the PDFs on Schoology, or they can access it through the curriculum, either way. So you have more than one option there. There's not a sign-on button in Schoology. I don't have administrative functions in Schoology. We can check it out. It's but all the links are on the student apps page, just like just like with the staff. So Brian, I think what you're asking is, if you put a link in Schoology, will it go to the platform and do that as a function? It will not. It will not at this point. Let me move forward here and get back to where we were. So once students have done their assignment and you want to review that or assess it, you're going to go to your assignments page. And then you can see those assignments. Now for this class, I have a test student, and I have some test assignments that were in there. So taking a look at just one of those. So here's an assignment. Here's my student. The assignment's been submitted, but it has not been scored. All I need to do is take a look at that student work column and view it. And when I hit view, I'm going to see the activity, the assignment that student did. And I can score it right there. If it's a whole class assignment and I've got several students that I'm grading, once I've finished with this one student, I go to the top of that page where the student's name is, and I can go down to the next student. So Carol's asking if there's a video for students to watch if they're having issues submitting a worksheet type assignment. The assignments, Carol, are auto saved when they're on the platform. And I'm going to show you where there's some resources so that you can take a look at doing some walkthroughs of different pieces and some videos to help both you and students on the program. Which is a great question at this point. So there is a digital walkthrough, and where we're at this morning is exactly where you're going to start to find some of those resources. So in the Browse Your Course, there's something at the top called Program Overview and Welcome to Impact Online. And there are there are some training videos or tutorials on that site. There's some things in PDF form, so kind of task card walkthroughs. There are, like I said, videos. The digital walkthrough that they have there for instructors helps you to really get acclimated to the platform, so that you can go through several different items and see how it all functions. Like I said, this is just a really quick refresher. So that would be a good resource. But also in all of the lesson and chapter level folders, towards the bottom, there are several professional learning pieces, again, in both video as well as kind of PDF form. And these deal with everything from the platform to activities to pedagogy. So, using videos in social science curriculum, integrating foldables. There's all kinds of different professional learning pieces in there that are part of the program. And so that's a really good resource for you as an instructor to take a look at as well. So I think those are we were trying to kind of say, okay, what were going to be the big issues that teachers might experience in coming back to this if they haven't utilized this for a while, to help with, getting their students on, to help with, and there's also some resources that we've put in onto the Schoology site as we rolled out with both junior high and high school, to help with, different kinds of task cards to help lead people through. And then we're going to be available for, kind of one-on-one walkthrough assistance on a variety of things. So please make sure and reach out to us for any kind of problems that you're having as you're working through the platform. Okay, so that's kind of that overview, really quick overview of where do you find resources, how do you assign them, and what does assessing it look like on the platform. For those people who are using Schoology with the content, like I said, there are things that we've put in there up to this point. But if you haven't been on the Schoology page, I know I sent out an email, I think last week, to people. But one of the things that we've added in the resources file on our Schoology page is a nice red folder, red for, crisis, that has things that are specific to distance learning. Let me answer this question before we move on. Susan asked, once assignments are graded, do the grades automatically go to PowerSchool? Not from the ConnectEd platform, Susan, they do not. From Schoology, if you were to grade something in Schoology, you can sync it, but they don't sync from the outside platform. So in the distance learning folder on the Schoology page, you're going to find resources that we thought would be helpful as we transition to distance learning. So there are things in there in our courses that are using the impact curriculum. There are 2 folders at each grade level. One that is dealing with primary sources and one that's dealing with points of view. There are a couple of activities that our curriculum resources have that help students to take a look at primary sources side by side. Those are the primary sources. And then some other activities that are called points of view, where they deal with 2 points of view on a specific topic. And so we've got 2 folders in there right now. For the next couple of weeks, as we ramp up to new learning, this 2-week time period to help teachers and students get into the digital learning aspect, utilizing those review, engagement, enrichment kinds of activities might help to make that transition. So what Christy and I have done in those folders is to put in place anything that we think, I always say, those are the things that kind of have legs that will help ongoing learning and future learning, connecting to where they're going to next. The other thing that we've done is we've put in here some other resources that might be useful to you, like graphic organizers. I developed this one on analyzing sources that is fillable. And you're going to see this in the 7th, 8th, and 10th grade folders because the process works about the same. And I utilized some of the SHAG concepts of looking at sourcing, contextualization, perspective, and corroboration in doing that. So, and then it's an opportunity to have a short write-up. The questions are with those sources. All of those PDFs, you could utilize just, here's the PDF for the sources, and you're going to use this graphic organizer. Now, the fillable PDF is in there, but the doc of the graphic organizer is also there so that you can manipulate it yourself. You'll also see at the bottom of that folder a historical thinking chart for students, and with that historical thinking chart, all of those questions that we've got with sourcing, contextualization, perspective, and corroboration are listed there, but also writing prompts to help students to answer kind of those questions. What is the subject of the document? There are some writing sources there for that, or what type of document is it, to help them to make that transition. So let's see. Mark is saying with Schoology having issues, too much distance learning, up and down at the moment, may want to use impact for assignments until they do more updating of Schoology. Yeah, the biggest issue is, we just got the email from Anthony Gattuso that said Schoology's had a 400% increase lately of their utilization. So obviously it's what they're working on and they're putting resources into it. But that's what, we've got until we're rolling out any kind of new learning. We have an opportunity to help students, if you've not been using the ConnectEd platform, to put some things in place, contact students, tell them to go try things out. We'll try and do some little screencasts to help with that too, and put those and make those available in that distance learning. We'll add some more folders as we go through and as we see the need. So I hope that everybody who is on this webinar right now, if you're not part of the Social Science 712 group, there is the group access code. And just keep in mind that this is a group and not a course. So that helps when you sign up for it. So again, we'll be rolling out other things. One of the things that we're working on right now is to kind of have a calendar, I guess, for, the 3 weeks starting April 13th of, some activities that you can have kids do that'll provide you with some options of kind of ready to go lesson pieces, so it'll be easier for you to do that. So Christina asked, I haven't had my kids actually sign into ConnectEd. I've used Schoology exclusively. How will my kids get into the online book or activities? Well, remember, Christina, the PDFs are there in Schoology. So if you want to just continue to use Schoology, you've got that basic resource right there. And the PDFs we put in there are not dependent upon the platform. They're available on the platform, but I pulled them from there and put them into the Schoology site. If you want them in online book and activities, then yeah, that's something you're going to want to do. Like I said, right now, Christy and I are working on trying to get as many resources, both to help you all and then to help students make the transition to just distance learning. So we will definitely do like I said, some sort of a screencast for students to be able to get in there. It'd be nice to see some accommodation folders for special ed. Well, Scott, one of the things, like I said, I put on there a historical thinking chart with some sentence stems to get students started. Graphic organizers to organize the information. If you take a look at the PDFs that are available, that are in that are on there, they are not lengthy primary source pieces. They are pretty short, so that students with a variety of learning needs hopefully can access them. We're working on trying to get make as much available as we possibly can on the Schoology folders.
And just to go off of what Christina was saying, even if your kids aren't going into the ConnectEd piece and getting out those activities, if you're going in there and taking out the Word documents or the PDFs of maybe the inquiry journals or any of those activities and resources that are in there and uploading them into Schoology where your kids are used to going and you're used to working in, that's still having them being in the book. So that works too.
And also, Scott, there are ideas for on the platform for different types of accommodations. There's a lot of resources there, so it's a matter of figuring out what your students need, and then again, either having them do it on the platform or pulling those pieces that you need into your classes on Schoology. Either way it's appropriate access. Okay, so here's the way that you can mark your attendance in the webinar. We'll leave this up. And I'll also type it into the chat. So if you could do that, then like I said, that marks your attendance and in the session. And I've put it there in the chat so that you can access it. The chat should be available to you at the end if you go and take a look at your activities. Different activities that you're involved in will come up. So just so that we can practice our retention and try and energize our brains here, you can answer in the chat window. How do I get on the Impact platform? Excellent. Yeah, for any of your either your staff apps page on the district or on your um, site page for staff apps are available.
It's important not to go to the main site since we're a single sign-on district. So yeah, absolutely. Staff apps page or your school site.
Brian, I'll come back to your question as we get through this, and I'm not ignoring you here, so I'll get back to it.
Yeah, it's a great
Okay,
question.
where can I find? Go ahead, Christy.
Oh no, I was just saying that was a great question.
Where can I find content to assign on the platform? Yep, you guys got it. You're the pros. Okay. You can access those find the content resources to assign either by searching for resources or going directly to those chapter and lesson pages and looking through the blades. Where can I find additional training for impact? Yes, there are professional development modules that are linked right on that front page. The welcome in the browse my course, the welcome section for teachers. There's a training and resource center as well on the main page that'll help you with it. Go online. So you have several options. All right, one more. Where else can I access resources for distance learning? Yeah, Jana, when it works, Schoology. Yeah. We're trying our best to make sure that there is there are as many resources in there as possible for you to build that as a place and you can on our Schoology 712 social science site. That's a place for you to add resources that work for you. We've tried and created a file cabinet, if you will, that is fairly logically laid out. So the distance folder is laid out the very same way that the whole site is laid out, where I've separated out junior high and high school, and then the courses that are within there. So if you've got resources that work really well for you, you want to share with people, that would be a great place to use it as well. Would YouTube have those help videos if Schoology is down? So I'm assuming you mean for impact, and the impact videos aren't in Schoology. Just anything that we create is placed there. And I haven't placed anything on a Schoology channel at this point. So I don't know, Carol, we'll have to talk about that a little bit more. Will we provide screencasts on how teachers can take those resources and assign them to classes? Sure, we can do that. Yeah, that's we can do that. Okay, so that's what we're getting into the questions. So questions that are burning in your mind. Hopefully you've got enough to, not be afraid. Go play with the resources that you have. Figure out what things are going to be useful, And think about your students too. I don't know how many of our students, what their internet connectivity is like. You know, some of the more interactive pieces, you know, kind of like what we did with no mics, no video, is to try and streamline our access to the Teams webinars a little bit more, so we're not taking up so much bandwidth. You know, my own son is dying to, you know, whatever, Instagram with his friends or whatever the case is, and I say you can't use it right now because I'm dominating the bandwidth. But I don't know what kind of resources all of our students have, so having things available in a couple of different access points might be the best way we can do so at this time. But do you have any? Are there any other questions about where we are right now? I've tons of questions about, you know, what's going to be happening as we move forward, I'm sure, but and I don't know that I'd have you're welcome to ask any questions, but I don't know that I have any good answers for you. Can you copy and paste from one class to another when assigning work on the on the platform, either on both on Schoology and on the ConnectEd platform? Remember when we were looking at that Zimmerman note, and at the bottom it asks which class do you want this assigned to? Is it you want it assigned to any of your other similar classes? And you can say, yeah, you can say yes, assign it to these 3 classes or these 2 classes. So on the platform, and it's, you know, similar on Schoology, right? Which classes and how are you going to make assignments? You can do that. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. That was good. I'm going to go up to this question that Brian asked earlier about, I don't know about norms for creating Schoology and ConnectEd to follow. I'm not sure about norms. How going back and forth between the resources, advice for teachers. Well, I would say that we're trying to keep everything just to Schoology and our adopted curriculum platform. So it's really 2 items that students will have to manipulate. I know people have other, you know, sites that they use with students. But especially right now, inundating them with, you know, I want you to go, you know, here to this application, there to that application, and somewhere else to another application. So I would say just for kids, trying to keep it as streamlined as possible is important. And that's what Christy and I are looking at as we're trying to come up with some more, I don't want to say generic, because we're trying to make them very specific to new learning between, you know, now and the end of the school year kinds of pieces, is we don't want kids having to learn all kinds of different applications to extend their learning. So if you keep things fairly streamlined, and you know, I would say if you've been using Schoology a lot, then that would probably be the way I would be rolling out any new information. I would use things that are as comfortable to students. You know, I especially right now, I wouldn't, you know, now the biggest challenges are going to be in classes where they maybe haven't been using either Schoology or ConnectEd. That might be a challenge, is transitioning to that. So I would pick one thing and have students working on that well. Like I said, we'll do a screencast for, you know, students getting onto the ConnectEd platform so that you've got that and you can roll that out to them so they can practice with it. Any of the kind of review, preview, primary source, and viewpoints activities that are in those Schoology folders, you can also assign out as some practice for you and for your students on the ConnectEd platform. They're all there. We just pulled them into Schoology for the ease of use for you all. Great. You guys asked great questions. Anything else? Anything I haven't answered? Anything we haven't answered, or any burning questions you have?
Well, and sometimes, it's we don't know what we don't know. And so as we're kind of going throughout this process and learning more about distance learning and how it applies to history and social science, again, as questions do come up, just know that we're always available, and we're happy to help and, meet with you through Teams or email or however works best for you.
Yeah, and also, maybe it is that your department wants to meet and talk about the impact curriculum, or tomorrow we're going to do a very similar kind of presentation for the HMH platform. But if you have a department, 2 or 3 or 4 of you that want to do, we'll set up a Teams meeting if you'd like. And yeah, Mark recognized, you saw at the top of the impact page, once you sign in, there is a COVID response page with more resources and usage ideas. And Brian said he was thinking about common management for the use of the 2 resources. Yeah, I don't know, whatever, in terms of those kinds of norms, whatever you want to suggest to students, maybe that they, check the sites daily, or something that would definitely be, something to think about, that it's a classroom management or a digital management as opposed to classroom management. I don't have anything, but I'm happy to work with you and brainstorm. So, yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, yeah, we'd be happy to brainstorm. So, all right. Please do not hesitate to reach out. And if there's something, Christy and I we've been on our computers for the last week and a half. So we're here to help you. We're going to continue to populate some things. Feel free, like I said, to add to those crisis folders, and everything that's in there will get moved to the folders that are normally in on the Schoology page, so that those resources will be there for you at a later time too. They won't be going away. We won't burn them, we promise. So, okay, we'll hang out for a little bit longer if you have any other questions, but feel free to leave the group if you've got what you're looking for, and if there's something more, please reach out to us. Okay, so it looks like, I think, again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. For those of you who are still here, and we'll help you as much as we possibly can. So until then, good luck. There's some great other webinars out there. I'm headed to the Schoology conference one at 11 o'clock, so maybe I'll see you there. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.